We are live, everybody. I just want to thank you guys for I just want to thank you guys for being a part of my premiere, and I hope you guys gained a little insight as to what the process is when it comes to an actual shoot. So um, it's kind of like one of those things where with this channel, you'll get a little bit of everything. So with this particular episode, it was kind of fun. I got to show you the process of how my shoots actually work. Um, so let me bring my mic a little bit closer. It was a cold, cold day. I will admit it was cold. I cannot admit these things when they are when they're happening. I have to make sure that my models know that that they're warm, even when they're cold. And even when I'm cold, I never let my models know that I'm cold either. So it's really cool that Marnell stuck through it and she got some amazing shots. And we were able to do this um, and just in our backyard. So we used the background was her backyard, and then we kind of moved through like there's like a side street to their home, and then there's a back alley. So all of the shots took place in the backyard, on the steps of the porch, on the side street, and then in the back part, the alley. Now, mind you, when we went to the street, there are trash cans, there's all types of obstacles and things of that nature. So we had to make sure that we used everything precisely in a way that Marnell was the focus. And so that was the really cool thing. Like at post that you can just see that there's no trash cans and there's no children running across the street or things of that nature. So, oh, thanks, Matt. Thanks, Matt. Um, hold on, let me view some of these comments here. Oh, wow, this is nice. Um, but yeah, so it was really cool. The results of everything that took place. Again, if you guys have any questions during this time, you can ask them. I'm free to answer any particular questions for the next 10 minutes. I don't want to belabor you guys with a bunch of talking, but I just kind of wanted to go over what went on in this particular episode. So one of the things I want to highlight is the EXIF data. I will always have EXIF data for every image that I take, or I'll try to have information for video I take, or anything that will allow you to see what it is that I dialed into my camera. One of the things about creating, especially when it comes to photography and capturing video, is the settings. So the number one question people say, well, how do I put my camera in manual? And then what do I do to get the pictures that this particular photographer or that particular photographer is capturing? The number one thing to do is to look at the EXIF data. And the EXIF data tells you the f-stop, tells you the ISO, tells you how fast the shot was. It tells you the camera, it tells you the lens, and sometimes it often tells you what the light distribution was that was used during the shoot as well. So if there's a photographer that you like, and if they are kind enough to post EXIF data, you can take advantage of that. So I will be posting all of my EXIF data for any picture that I take on this channel. So if you're new to photography, or if you're trying to channel in different shots that I present, not saying that I'm the greatest photographer or that my pictures are the greatest, but they are just a baseline for you to know what it is that you're trying to create when you're shooting fully manual. Okay, so I'll always have that available for you guys, and then I'll always have what it is that I use. You'll know the camera I used, the stands I use, the triggers I use, the lights I use, any accessories. Like I just recently got a DJI Ronin S that I'm gonna be unboxing for you guys really soon. So anything that I use during the creative process, I will have available for you in the description. So always pay attention to the description as well, because it'll have all of those particular things for you. Oh, we got a question real fast. Sapphire Kelly says, what about inside photo shoot? What is the best lens for low lights? That's a really good question. I'll pause to make sure I answer this first. Always try to use lenses that have a wide open aperture. Now, what I mean by wide open aperture is when a lens can drop down to about 1.4. Some lenses drop down to 1.2. If your pockets are large like that, I suggest you can do that. But if you're on a budget, try to get like a wide lens that can open up pretty good. For people who are shooting with a full frame camera, I suggest using maybe a 35 millimeter 1.4. My favorite lens at this time is the Sigma 35 millimeter 1.4 Art series lens. Thing is crazy. You can use it in a low light situation, and it flourishes with the natural light given in the room. What I suggest, if you don't have an opportunity to have a lens that drops down that much, try to use ambient light that comes into the room. So your window becomes a light source, or try to use like some continuous light. If you have any type of continuous light, use that to assist your camera as well as your lens in performing to the level that you're trying to do. But when you're working in a small room, you want to have something wide. So a 35 or 24 or 24 to 70. These lenses flourish during those particular times. Okay, so Sapphire, I suggest you look into that. And I'm gonna actually be doing an episode on lenses to use in certain scenarios. A lot of times I shoot weddings and events, so I'll be showing what lenses I use for that. But then I'll show what I'll use in maybe something in a house or a house party or things of that nature. So be on the lookout for that, Sapphire. Hopefully I answered your question to the best of my knowledge. If you have any additional questions, feel free to ask me at any time. You can reach me on my IG, or you can reach me on here after every episode. And I'm going to try to do live at least twice a week for the next few weeks, and I'll be posting those times so you guys can ask questions. And so hopefully I answered your question. Getting back to the episode with Marnell, one of the things that she asked prior to the shoot was she wanted something where it kind of like had a moodiness to it, and it focused specifically on her. This was her 40th birthday. So this is a milestone birthday. So you don't want a lot of different things to kind of overshadow the fact that she is looking amazing at 40. And hey, everybody, this is what 40 looks like in this day and time. So that was what her initial request was, and then she gave me full liberty to capture anything that I could do within that time. What's up, Ibrahim? And so that's what we tried to accomplish. So again, we used her backyard, the steps on her porch, and the two side streets. We were gonna go in the front of the house, but again, it was cold. I'll admit it, Marnell, it was cold, but in that time we got a lot done. We were able to do video, and we were able to capture these images. Now, the lens that I use for this shoot, primarily, I didn't want to use a bunch of lenses. I didn't want to exchange, because when it's cold like that, you can't be switching lenses. So either I will carry two cameras and I'll have two different focal lengths. A lot of times, anybody who's ever seen me, they tease me all the time. I always have on a strap and I have two cameras on. I just how it. And people say, "Oh, is that why you're the dual exchange?" No, that's not why I'm the dual exchange. I just like having two cameras, and I like having two focal lengths with me at all times, right? But in this particular shoot, I just wanted to have one camera and one lens for the entire time. So I used the 85 millimeter 1.4 Sigma lens. And this lens is phenomenal. I wish that they make a Z mount version of it soon. Sigma, if you hear me, please get some Z glass for us. I don't want to use the adapter anymore. Um, but I didn't have to use an adapter with my D810. And so I was able to stop right now. I admitted it. I admitted it. Um, but I was able to use my A10, which doesn't have an adapter, so it was native glass, and I wanted to just have that be the main lens. The beautiful thing about this lens is that it shines in any situation, and it's tack sharp at 1.4, and it obliterates the background. And a lot of photographers, you know that at 1.4 you lose a lot of stuff. Oh, here in the face when you have the audacity to drop to 1.4 sometimes. But the Sigma lens performs really well at 1.4. And I tried to stay within the 1.6, 1.4 range this entire shoot because I was shooting with off camera flash and I was using high speed sync. So again, it allowed me to have Marnell be the focus of the entire shoot. That's the lens and that's the camera that I use. The 810 is a full frame Nikon DSLR. So I shoot with the DSLR and I shoot with mirrorless. I didn't really shoot with my mirrorless this shoot because I was using my Z6 to film the episode. So a lot of times if you see me use the 810, it's because I'm using the Z6 for filming. So I'm in the market to get another film camera. So I'm thinking about either getting a Z7 or another Z6 or like a really cheap, dare I say, a really cheap Canon. Uh, just for like filming because I like having my Z6 to shoot as well. And I know some of my Canon friends are gonna beat me over the head with that. It's potato. I'm not trying to bash any brand or anything of that nature. So anyway, moving along in the shoot, kind of finish this pretty soon. Um, yes. So key points, angles. That's something that I addressed during the episode when Marnell was near the fence. You can't always just shoot dead on. A lot of times we get caught up in the moment. We're just like here. But a lot of times if you just shift your camera here or you shift your camera there or you get something over here, it gives the shot more life. It gives you more shots to give to your client. It gives you different perspectives and it allows you to tell a better story of this particular shoot. So that's what I try to convey, especially on those fence shots. And then from the fence, we kind of moved into the middle of the alley. And those shots are represented in the episode. So that's why I highlighted, please use angles. And one of the things that is important about using angles, especially with prime lenses, the 85 that I use is a prime lens. So it doesn't focus into any other then you just have to move your feet here, move your feet back here, and then that's how you frame it. Especially when you're using what's up, bro? My little bro's on. There we go. Especially when you're using prime lenses and you use angles, it's a beautiful distinguishing characteristic about those particular angles because you're not zooming in and you're not, a lot of times when you use zoom lenses, it elongates the subject, and sometimes the head looks bigger than the body or the legs look extraordinarily long, which is fine, especially if you're shooting editorial. Using a zoom lens kind of gives that nice little edgy, like kind of broaden out look, and I use that, but I like using prime lenses. Okay. All right. So moving along during the shoot, also that you really didn't get to see is I always have music. If you're shooting or creating, hey everybody, I suggest that you guys use music in your shoots because one, it allows your clients to be comfortable. If you're listening to the music that you like, you get into your zone. Whether when you're working out and you get that song and you're moving, same thing. The process is when you're doing a photo shoot. If you allow your clients or your models to have a music or a song that they can get into a groove and feel beautiful and feel sexy or feel fierce or feel whatever it is that you're trying to convey, please have music. So I always have music on my shoots. Okay. So music, lens, camera, lights. I use the 8600 uh, uh, off camera flash. It's a strobe, packs a lot of power. I can overpower the sun at a 1-to-1 ratio. Most of the shots were 1-to-1, and that means that's full power. So I used the full power of that strobe, and I used it so that I could compose the background. So if you notice, the background has a nice darkness to it. It's broad daylight. Sun is high. Okay, but I'm able to compose for the background and use the light to make sure that my foreground is properly lit. And then when you go to a 1-to-1, especially daylight, it can overpower the sun and you get this beautiful effect. And you can see that in the images that I use. So I use the 8600, and then I use the X Pro trigger for that. So I got music, I got the camera, I got you got donations to set up for your live? No, I don't got donations, bro. I'm starting up. I'm all about giving this away freely. So yeah. So lastly, when you're doing your shoot, another important thing, and this is something that Marnell brought out without me even asking her, is show your clients their pictures as they're shooting. So when I shoot my models, I have a bigger screen so they can see, okay, this is what we're capturing. Oh, okay. It shows I know what I'm doing. Sort of like, oh, he knows what he's doing. I look all right. And then when you're shooting other things, um, it just allows their confidence for your clients to see, oh, this is what we're doing, this is what this particular instruction is garnering from this shot. Show them the images, don't just keep all the images to yourself, because it doesn't allow them to be part of the process. And that's what creating is all about. Thus my name, Dual Vision. It's a dual experience. It is both client, it is both model and photographer and videographer and creator. It is a combined experience when you have more than one individual involved, and you have to make sure that they're involved in this process. So I made sure throughout the shoot that Marnell was involved. She knew what images I was taking. She heard how excited I was for each shot. Every time I shoot, my clients or my models know I'm excited. Like, man, look what we got. Look what we created. Make them aware and let them see what it is that they created with you. Okay. So those are the key components that I can share on the back end of what this episode was. And above all, in this process, especially during this time, is you got to be safe, guys. And that's something that I maintained during this shoot. You can be responsible and safe during this time while you're creating, because we don't want there to be a mismanagement of someone's health during this time. So we covered the camera, we covered the lens, we covered the light, we covered the experience that you're providing for your client or your model. Lastly is the fact that you come in and you have a happy and healthy demeanor. I never create without a smile on my face. I don't come in there like I'm this grandiose creative and I'm giving you the pleasure of my services. No, I come in there humble. I come in there willing to hear your inputs, and I hope that that conveys each time in each experience that I share with my client. Whatever you do, whenever it comes to creating, whatever you do when it comes to just life, come in there with the mindset that you are willing to meet the other person where they're at, and that you formulate the ideas together. And after you formulate it, enjoy the process. If you don't enjoy this, what's the point of it? What's the point of it, right? So I hope that I answered all the questions that you guys had during this time. I really enjoyed this particular episode. It was really good, cool to capture a longtime friend and to experience the day with her family. Happy birthday, Marnell. Happy 40th. You making 40 look good. Yeah, it's a lot of these individuals hit me up on my IG like, yo, she's 40? Yeah, you know? So, with that being said, thank you guys for your time. Thank you for supporting. Again, like and subscribe. This is free, guys. This ain't causing no money. So if you have a friend who has a friend, or you know a friend who knows a friend, just have them come. Hit that like and subscribe button. Hopefully, you're taking something away at the end of the day, and you're enjoying this process. I know I am. Okay, you guys have a good one.